I hear you niggas talking, well let me talk too. You screaming you killing niggas, well I'm killing too. Lyrics pistols, whatever you wanna call it. Females you think they love you, no they love you cause you bought it. Set aside, all that fuck.
Sometimes, these events start to occur, and it's usually the Most High is just trying to get everybody's attention for an introduction.
When those elected officials were lying that the election was stolen from Donald Trump, they were typically stating that those who voted in Philadelphia, in Detroit, in Atlanta, in cities with sizable black populations, that those votes were illegal, that they were cast fraudulently. And those who believe that somehow black folks shouldn't be voting.
Okay, first of all, it's this black guy. I don't know why it just sickens me. But when you say that they wasn't, eligible to be voting, now we understand what the Democratic Party has been doing for quite some time, so probably most likely allowing a lot of people to come here illegally and legally. So for him to say that they believe that majority of those people in those parts of the country, in those cities and states, were not eligible, supposedly not eligible to vote. So that's the argument that this guy is pretty much speaking on, saying that no way the election was frauded or stolen because those people apparently are eligible to vote. Now, I've seen some things and I've questioned some things about people coming in from other parts of the world, and for some reason they've come up because they have some tangibles already in line or aligned for them. And this is the doing, in my opinion, that the Democratic Party has been doing for quite over a decade now. How do I figure that? Because I'm seeing a lot of people coming over, and as we recently seen and heard, what Joe Biden's motive is, being the face right now of the Democratic Party, is to make those coming in to pretty much make them become citizens now. So it's obvious what has been going on for the past decade, in my view. Thank you guys for tuning in to The Awakening, Real Talk 101, the Gangsters channel. I've been away for a minute, apparently pissed off at YouTube constituents, not the corporation, but those who are employed by YouTube. I'll let it go. Wasn't able to upload any videos, pretty much was suspended. But I'm back now, and I'm going to try to correct my errors, and still believe it was bullshit. But anyway, little do I know. Now, when it comes to this protest for Donald Trump, they have went out to their, it's just, to me, it's just sickening to hear black people make this thing like, which it could be some racism going on, but let's not deviate from the cause of this protest to now induct of some kind of, well, they just mad because black people voted, and they pretty much got Biden to, all this shenanigans, this misleading, this beguiling, this trickery that has been going over upon black people for pretty much a decade too. And to hear this guy talk about this, a black looking guy, talk about this, and most times these people who they have like supposedly speaking up for us on these panels, they're not really, in my opinion, they're not really from here. Like, they don't really have any stories to tell. So now when we have these people coming up trying to deviate from the situation, and the situation is that it had nothing to do with black people, so stop trying to induct that into the conversation of this protest. These people are upset because they feel like there was some fraud going on. That's all that is. And for a black guy to not even like observe that and to allow himself to be a pawn to try to deviate this, to make it to see that it's black people's fault because they voted, or they saying they wasn't eligible to be voting and all this other crazy stuff. It's just another trickery that is occurring to try to put us again, using black faces again, to in fact help deviate the conversation. The conversation is that there was voter fraud going on and the people are pissed off. And I don't consider myself a part of this event, meaning that between the two candidates, I'm looking at both of them. Why would I go and vote for one of these who I know that are against us? That's my viewpoint. But to have black people just like being used to help deviate the conversation of this protest being pretty much engulfed because inflamed, I'd rather say, because the people feel that there was some fraud going on. And even myself looking at it, I can say it does look suspect to me because I didn't know it was so many of us anyway. And another thing, I didn't know that it would get to this. But it looked suspect to me because it was pre-planned anyway, in my view. And the people are not stupid. Like, people, like black people, I don't know why we don't see this. Like, I think we do see it, but we just pretend that we don't see it. And people are not stupid, yo. They can read between the lines what they looking at. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, well, how did he win anyway? Because I didn't really see him out there, like he's moving around like he really know he's gonna win it, because he didn't even put any work in to get the people. Even you saw on the debating, both, during the debate, he wasn't enthusiastic as Trump was. He was just like, just sitting back. So you have to how did he convince people to vote for him when he wasn't out there trying to convince people to vote for him? Unless they already knew. So now we can put in about the people who are eligible and ineligible to vote. And I'm seeing what their primary goals are is bringing more people in. And whether these people are illegal or legal to be allowed to be over, because I remember one time, like, who made this up to, that illegals was able to get their driver's license under our noses. You see, these are the things that go on that a lot of us, especially us black people, don't really know what's going on. Like, who put that into place to do that? And when did that occur? So now we see the hands, because the other side is always talking about foreign policy and illegal, this and that. And you know what I'm saying? Immigrants. I don't know if that's the right word I want to use, though. But, people coming in. So they have all these tangibles already waiting for them as they get in. So it's kind of weird, kind of strange and suspect. And these Trump supporters, in my view, they're not stupid, man. Like, they see what was going on. And I'm looking at it from the outside and wondering, like, how did this dude get them votes in also to convince the people to vote for him? And we seen that when he was debating with Trump in the face-off. And then you have these black people with black faces. I say that because they're not like, even though they got black faces, but their heart is on some other stuff. I don't know what they are, but they just constituents and agents, in my viewpoint. But you can have these black people like, oh, they just saying that. Like, watch this.
Whole process, we're susceptible to those types of ideas, even without evidence. And so I think it then therefore made sense that those who were imagining that the election was stolen because of those black folks who voted in Detroit, Philadelphia, and Atlanta were also those who, of course, were attracted to white supremacist symbolism.
I mean, it is what it is. The Lord going to end up rising up. And that's the thing, I talked about this in my previous videos. Like, the Lord will raise people up to go. Like, we ain't really have to do nothing. The Lord will send the Lord will send its own people to destroy its own people, to rise up against its own people. And this was said in a few videos back that I was talking about this. Because it's also in the Bible, the Lord will raise a nation up to go against another nation and stuff like that. So we understand the power behind the influence to do things. The power of it. Who's the power behind it? Who can cause these people to rise up this way, in this fashion? Yet we're still being denied reparations. And the thing that Trump put out, it goes to show you that they're in total denial. And this money that they send into other nations, this is money to help them.
To the American people. It's taken forever. However, the bill they are now planning to send back to my desk is much different than anticipated. It really is a disgrace. For example, among the more than 5,000 pages in this bill, which nobody in Congress has read because of its length and complexity, it's called but it has almost nothing to do with. This bill contains $85.5 million for assistance to Cambodia, $134 million to Burma, $1.3 billion for Egypt and the Egyptian military, which will go out and buy almost exclusively Russian military equipment, $25 million for democracy and gender programs in Pakistan, $505 million to Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Panama, $40 million for the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., which is not even open for business, $1 billion for the Smithsonian, and an additional $154 million for the National Gallery of Art. Likewise, these facilities are essentially not open. $7 million for reef fish management, $25 million to combat Asian carp, $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico, a provision to promote the breeding of fish in federal hatcheries, $3 million in poultry production technology, $2 million to research the impact of down trees, $566 million for construction projects at the FBI. The bill also allows stimulus checks for the family members of illegal aliens, allowing them to get up to $1,800 each. This is far more than the Americans are given. Despite all of this wasteful spending and much more, the $900 billion package provides hardworking taxpayers with only $600 each in relief payments. And not enough money is given to small businesses, and in particular restaurants, whose owners have suffered so grievously. They were only given a deduction for others to use in business their restaurant for 2 years. This 2-year period must be withdrawn, which will allow the owners to obtain financing and get their restaurants back in condition. Congress can terminate it at a much later date, but 2 years is not acceptable. It's not enough. Congress found plenty of money for foreign countries, lobbyists, and special interests, while sending the bare minimum to the American people who need it. It wasn't their fault. It was China's fault, not their fault. I am asking Congress to
pull up their boots and strap up their own laces. But they're doing it for them. They're not doing it for themselves. Like how they tell us to pull up our boots and fasten up, that old saying. But it seems like for them, they're doing that for other people. So this is so hideous and so wicked that this denial is causing these events to happen. Just on GP. Because we know, and I know that, they're not going to do it. But it's a beautiful thing to see the plea go through. And when there's a denial, there's an event that takes place after it. And we're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep asking and pleading. And you're going to keep denying it and denying it. And these things are going to come up until they all get the picture. Until something very worse start to happen. And we know they're not going to do it. And I'm not looking for them to do it. But the Lord is so merciful. Even He gives the other nations the opportunity. Just like He did it with Pharaoh. So here we are. So now we got the fakest 2 candidates that even when they speak, they don't even have any heart behind what they're talking about. And it just seems so ungenuine. It seems so fake that it just makes me want to vomit listening to Kamala and Biden speaks like this.
Do not reflect a true America. Do not represent who we are. What we're seeing are a small number of extremists dedicated to lawlessness. This is not dissent. It's disorder. It's chaos.
It's terrorism.
Orders on sedition.
Say it.
Must end now.
When it's us, it's terrorism. But man, hey, like I said, this I don't like to see black people, and these people are not even like, they have black people trying to speak for us because they have black faces, but their hearts are not here. And this is what I hate about these characters, these busters, I call them. Meaning that they have no self-identity, they have no strength. They're just weak. That's my definition of busters. And they all are weak-spirited men. And the women just go along just because the money is right. They'll go along with it. They don't have any integrity and stuff like that, so they'll just go along with it. Some of these other women that they do have try to speak for black people, but they have white hearts. Now, and another thing, like, they try to cover up, like, and I guess this is why they didn't really want Trump in, because Trump pretty much showed what's really in the hearts of America. So we got to get him out of office. I don't care how we do it, because he's going to expose the imagery that we have put up upon the whole world, that we are the angels. So now when Trump comes out talking the way he's talking and doing all this stuff and saying all these things, that makes America look bad. So we got to get him out of office. And this is what they did. And it was better for us that he was in office, because we can see what it really is now. Which I already know what it is, but I'm just speaking in that term. Like, so we can see what it is now, meaning black people can wake up out of this illusion. So no, we got to get him out of here, because he's exposing us. He's exposing who we are. So now we got to bring in a candidate. And as old as Biden is, like, I mean, the guy can't even talk. And he's already talking like he has to read, squint his eyes to see what's on the prompt. Like, it's just a catastrophe. And I believe like that he might be a one-term president, and they probably need to start having him on a walker or something sooner or later, because I don't see him being a whole 2 years. But they can do a lot in 4 years for these groups of people who they're looking to bring in and all this other stuff, compared to what they can do for us. And it's just so evil of us to not see it and to still go and side with this guy, because you feel that you are a part of an organization that pretty much cares for you, which is an illusion. Which is an illusion. And hopefully we'll see that illusion be disintegrated, that we can see it for what it is. And I'm saying we as black people, not including that I don't see it, but I'm saying in general. And this is all, man. Thank you guys for tuning back in. YouTube had me in a dungeon, had me gagged up for a minute. I was going to go on a runt video against YouTube's constituents for pulling that stunt. But thank you for tuning in, man. Holla.